You're lying in bed right now, or on a couch, or a toilet, or the back seat of a car, and somehow, without a single wire touching your hand, a video from a server on the other side of the planet is playing on your screen in real time, with no delay you can notice. You've done this 10,000 times, and I'd bet you've never once asked, how does that actually happen? Not, what app did I open? I mean the physical, mechanical truth of it. What is Wi-Fi? Where does the internet in your house actually come from? And what happens on the ocean floor to make it possible? Today we're taking that apart, all the way down. Let's start in your room, because this is the part almost nobody understands correctly. Most people think Wi-Fi and internet are the same thing. They're not. Your modem is the device that talks to your internet provider. Your router is the device that creates the wireless bubble in your house. If you only have a modem, you can plug in a cable and get internet, but there's no Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is just the wireless last few meters. So what is it physically? Wi-Fi is radio. The exact same category of technology as an FM radio station or a walkie-talkie, just tuned to a much higher frequency. Here's the science. Electricity moving back and forth inside your router's antenna creates ripples of electric and magnetic energy that shoot outward at the speed of light. This isn't a new discovery. It goes back to 1864, when physicist James Clerk Maxwell mathematically predicted that changing electrical currents should generate these waves. In 1887, Heinrich Hertz proved him right in a lab, generating and detecting the first artificial radio waves in history. Fast forward about 130 years, and that same physics is now folded into a box sitting on your shelf. Your router takes your data, a video, a message, a search, and turns it into binary, a stream of ones and zeros. It then converts that binary into an electrical signal that oscillates at either 2.4 billion times a second or 5 billion times a second. Those are the two main Wi-Fi bands, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Here's the trade-off nobody explains. 2.4 gigahertz travels farther and goes through walls better, but carries less data per second. 5 gigahertz is faster, but weaker. A single interior wall can already cut its strength roughly in half. Concrete, metal studs, or a fish tank can kill it almost completely. That's the actual, physical reason Wi-Fi is strong in your kitchen and dead in your garage. It's not bad Wi-Fi. It's radio waves losing energy to physical matter. And here's a detail worth pausing on. Your microwave oven runs at about 2.45 gigahertz, almost the exact same frequency as Wi-Fi. That's not a coincidence of bad design. It's because that frequency happens to excite water molecules efficiently, which is great for heating food and, awkwardly, also great for interfering with your signal. If your Wi-Fi drops every time you make popcorn, this is why. None of this would work, though, if every phone, laptop, and router spoke a different radio language. They don't, because of a standard called 802.11, published by the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, starting in 1997. It's the rulebook that makes a Samsung phone able to talk to an Apple router. Every Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7 label you've seen is just a newer version of that same 1997 rulebook. So, Wi-Fi is not magic, and it's not the internet. It's a 130-year-old physics principle, repackaged into a 1997 engineering standard, moving data a few dozen meters through your walls. But that only explains the last stretch. Where does the signal actually come from before it reaches your router? Follow the signal backward. Your router is plugged into a wall. That wall is connected to a cable running underground or overhead to a green box or telephone pole nearby. That connects to a hub owned by your internet service provider. That hub connects to a bigger regional hub. And that connects to something most people have literally never thought about: the physical spine of the entire internet. Here's the part that surprises almost everyone. The cloud is not in the sky. It's on the ocean floor. As of 2026, there are more than 600 active or planned submarine cables stretching across the world's oceans. Over 1.4 million kilometers of cable in total. That's enough to circle the Earth roughly 37 times. And here's the number that should genuinely shock you. Somewhere between 95 and 99% of all intercontinental internet traffic, video calls, bank transfers, emails, everything, travels through these cables, not satellites. Physically, these cables are surprisingly small. For most of their length, a submarine cable is about the width of a garden hose. Inside, the actual data-carrying fiber is roughly the thickness of a human hair. Thin strands of glass that carry pulses of laser light, not electricity. Near the shore, where fishing trawlers and anchors are a threat, the cables get wrapped in extra steel armor. In the deep ocean, they just rest on the seabed. Ships called cable layers spend months at sea slowly unspooling these lines across entire ocean basins. And they break more often than you'd think. The International Cable Protection Committee tracks roughly 200 cable faults every year, usually from ship anchors or natural seabed movement. You almost never hear about it because providers spread traffic across multiple cables, so if one goes down, your video call doesn't even hiccup. One more thing worth knowing, because it's reshaping this entire system in real time. These cables used to be owned mostly by national telecom companies working together in consortiums. That's changed fast. A 2022 analysis from the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab found that Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon now own or lease roughly 70% of the world's undersea bandwidth. Google alone holds stakes in more than 20 separate cable systems, including cables like Duna, which carries nothing but Google's own traffic between the US and France. So the honest answer to "where does my Wi-Fi come from?" is, your phone talks to your router over radio waves discovered in the 1880s, using a standard from 1997, which connects to a physical fiber optic line that might travel underground for miles before diving into an ocean and running across the seafloor for thousands of kilometers to another continent. Increasingly, one owned by a handful of American tech companies. Here's a detail that connects this whole system back to history. Submarine cables don't land just anywhere. They cluster at a small number of landing points, and many of those points aren't random. They're often the same port cities that were major hubs in old colonial and trade networks. Singapore, sitting on the Strait of Malacca, Fortaleza in Brazil, Marseille in France. The infrastructure changed from telegraph wires to fiber optic glass, but the geography of who connects easily to whom has stayed remarkably similar for over a century. That means your Wi-Fi speed, and even whether your country has cheap, fast internet at all, is partly a story about 19th century shipping routes. So next time you're lying in bed streaming a video, this is the real chain of events. A laser pulses down a hair-thin glass fiber under the Pacific Ocean, arrives at a landing station, gets routed through your ISP's regional hub, reaches a box on a pole near your house, travels down a wire into your wall, gets picked up by your router, converted into a radio wave humming at 2.4 or 5 billion cycles per second, crosses your living room, passes partially through your drywall, and lands in the antenna inside your phone, all in well under a second. That's the pattern for this whole channel. Every single thing around you, roads, power lines, traffic lights, the water coming out of your tap, has a hidden chain like this one behind it. Something that took decades and sometimes centuries to build, that you interact with every day without seeing. Next time, what actually happens under the asphalt when a road gets built, and why some roads last 20 years and others crack in two. If you learned one thing you didn't know today, that's the whole point of this channel. Subscribe, and I'll keep taking the world apart, one system at a time.